Most of this episode was filmed at a class session of the Montessori Conference in February of 2010 on location at a school and at an international Montessori gathering. We extend our thanks to Montessori Community School in Salt Lake City. The Utah Montessori Council hosted that conference and the class participants. The class clip covers two of the most important skills you need to collaborate with parents in your school community: developing a deep understanding of their perspective, or walking in their shoes, and knowing their goals for their children's experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lay out what I had in mind, and then I'm going to get a little sense about what you all would like, what you were looking for out of this class, so that we can tailor it a little bit. That's one nice thing about me putting hand-ups up online. I can kind of work on the fly a little bit with that as well. Now, we go until 12:15. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and look at your handout, and you're going to see how I've broken this down. Courting, collaborating, connecting, and conflict. Because in my experience, most of your communications with your parents are going to fall roughly into one of these categories. Some of you are nodding. That helps me to know that I've got a little bit of a sense of it. And within each one of these, particularly courting, connecting, and conflict, I'm actually going to teach you a very specific skill set that I think you will find is very helpful when you're dealing with parents in these particular situations. Now, what I'm going to do is go through each one of these, kind of show you what different areas they apply in, talk to you about resources that you have to be able to apply these a little bit, and we'll do a little bit of practicing, particularly for the connecting, walking in their shoes situation. So does that sound like a good approach for us to do? Okay, so what are you looking for to get out of this class? Is it, let me give you a kind of a little laundry list, and then you can say yes or jump in and add more things. Do you want to communicate better with parents who are looking at the school to be able to let them know what to do to enroll, help them understand whether or not they're going to be a fit for you? Are you looking to resolve conflict with parents that you already have in place? Are you looking to bring more of a community feel in with your parents? Okay, I'm seeing some nods on that one. Let me, what have I said that's on track? Is there other things that you really wanted to get out of this when you decided this is where you would come? Yes.
I was hoping that I would learn how to incorporate my parents into our Montessori school, okay, so they can become part of it.
Part of the community, a more active, visible, enjoyable part of it. Great. Anything else that we were hoping to accomplish today? Yes.
I'm looking for that as well, but also a particular conflict that is currently.
Okay. All right. Resolving some conflict that's going on. Yes.
I'm interested in what you said first about explaining to the parents what Montessori is.
Okay, so the parents you're courting, that you're trying to make sure that they know what they need. Now, to give me a little bit of a sense, how many of you are school owners? Okay, how many of you teach in a 3 to 6 classroom? How many of you teach in an elementary classroom? Oh, we've got one. And in a toddler classroom? Okay, and anybody who I didn't give a category to. And what are you doing in Montessori education?
Middle school.
Middle school? Oh.
I do admissions, but I'm not the owner.
Oh, okay, okay. And you? Okay, and now, who in here is responsible for making sure that parents who are maybe touring get the best sense of the school, and for retaining the parents when they come? Who's responsible for that? Okay, guess what, ladies? That was a trick question. Yes, exactly. Every single hand should go up. And now, I heard bits and pieces of Jonathan's presentation this morning, so I'm going to riff on some of those a little bit, but if I say something that is not exactly what he meant or said, I would like you to jump in and correct me, okay? But one of the things that I heard that I completely endorse is that our first priority is to advocate for the needs of the child. Am I on track with that? But that doesn't mean we ignore the parents or their needs in any way, shape, or form. It's just kind of the progression of how we have to do things. Now, I'm seeing some. Do we need to get some light off some people that's coming on the side of their faces, or is the blinds? Okay.
This is what we do in the classroom all day too.
Now, one of the things I do when I do parent education is I use whatever's happening. So what skill was I using that's on your paper that caused me to ask for that change, and Teresa being so nice to take care of it? What skill that I've already got on your paper? Yes?
Knowing what our goals are.
Well, maybe.
Walking in their shoes.
Exactly. Walking in their shoes. One of the things that I do my best to do, whether I'm working with a child, a group of parents, a group of teachers, is I'm going to do my best to be doing that with everyone. It's much easier with one person than it is with a group, but you can learn to get better at it, and it's absolutely essential. It just makes a huge, huge difference in all of these things going well, but particularly that community building that she was talking about. That is just absolutely essential, and it will give you information you will never get from them telling you. All right? That's probably one of the most important pieces, particularly for those of you who are dealing with conflicts. Things they will never tell you, if you can develop this skill, will serve you in that way. So the little trick question that I had just kind of finished up with before we adjusted the environment was, who's responsible for getting the right parents and families in your classroom and for keeping them there? And of course the answer is everyone. So we're going to talk about courting first. And the reason for that is, even if you've got a family, they've got 3 children, you've got the 3rd one, the first one is in the secondary classroom, you know they are connected to that school, you still must build this relationship with that individual family for the time that they are a part of your little micro community. When your child goes to this school, you are a part of this community, but you're also a part of Teresa's community that she's responsible for. So it's really important that you understand that and that you work cooperatively that way. So knowing your goals. So the first thing that you need to do is something that, are any of you familiar with neuro-linguistic programming? Okay, so I've got one. Well, I'm going to use some of their skills. I trained in that method for quite a while, but I'm not going to use the jargon. So for those of you who maybe have some NLP background, I'm going to speak English when I'm teaching those skills. But the NLP term is outcome solicitation, which sounds very cold and nasty. So we're going to put what we used on our paper. We want to know their goals. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ask for a volunteer to be touring Teresa's classroom, and I'm going to be Teresa briefly. Is there someone who would be willing to be a parent? Now, I have no idea what the protocol is in this school. When I had my school, parents would come in alone. I had a very small school. We would walk around the classroom together, and I would talk to them and answer their questions. So we're going to kind of assume that protocol for this, but you can apply it to whatever, whether an administrator does it or whatever. Is there someone who would be a prospective parent for me? Anyone? Yes, thank you. Well, come on up here with me, and you are Brooke. Okay, so Brooke, now come stand right here. Now, what we're going to do is you can have your actual children, you can make up a fictional situation, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to ask you questions, and she can just make it up, or she can be herself, whichever she would like to do. Okay, and now normally the way that I would do this is I would wander around, but we're in a small space and you all have spread out comfortably, so what I'm probably going to do is kind of point to where we would be walking when we would be answering the questions, and I didn't scope out Teresa's classroom real carefully, so I kind of know where sensorial and things are.
Okay. Lives over here.
Okay.
Studies, Spanish. I'm here like this.
Language and writing. Okay, and where's your oh, and your math? I see your math. Okay, great. So, Brooke, tell me who you have got that you're looking for a school situation for.
My little girl.
Okay, what is her name?
Her name is Dylan.
Dylan, okay. So how old is Dylan?
Dylan is 5.
And is Dylan in a current school situation?
Yes, she is. She's in Montessori.
Okay, and now, remember, she can go fictional here because she's looking around at my school for some reason. So Brooke, tell me why you decided to come and see whether or not this would be a place for Dylan.
We're relocating.
Okay, so you're moving to this area. Well, now, I know, you probably know, there's a lot of different schools around here. What made you decide to come and see what you thought about us?
I wanted to check out all the schools in the area and make sure that this was the right one.
Okay, great. Well, Brooke, let's walk around a little bit together and talk about the classroom. Your child has been in a Montessori classroom, so it's going to be a little bit familiar to you. Let's start over in the practical life area. With your child being a 5-year-old, how long was she in the Montessori classroom?
Since she was 2.
Okay, so you're very, very familiar with this. What is her experience in practical life? Do you know?
She somewhat gets it, not a whole lot.
Okay. So she's kind of interested and not so much?
She's interested. She's just steered towards other areas of the classroom first.
Oh, okay. So other things have been more interesting to her. Which parts of the classroom have got her interest right now?
She likes sensorial and cultural.
Okay.
And math.
Okay, sensorial and cultural and math. Great. Now, does that fit for you? Is that something that works for you? Does that concern you at all? Or
No.
okay, good. So you've really got some Montessori background and understand her needs to kind of work on what she's wanting to work on at this point in time.
Right.
Excellent. So, do you have any questions for me?
Just on a daily schedule, do you guys do language, as in like a secondary language, or?
Okay. Well, we do have an assistant that speaks Spanish, and she is not in the classroom every day. She's here 3 days a week, but all that she does is speak Spanish with the children. She does not do math with the children, but she does anything else that they would like to do, and just kind of functions as a third adult in the classroom. Is that the experience your child has had before?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So that's something that you're already familiar with. Wonderful. So what do you think would cause you to decide that a school was right for your daughter? I'm just curious, when we do tours like this, I learn too.
Just the feel of the classroom and the environment of the entire community, and just a peaceful, loving place for her to be all day. So.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brooke. I'm going to have you sit down. Okay, so let's pick apart a little bit of what I did with Brooke. The last thing that I asked her, how did she respond to me? Is there anything that stood out in the last thing that she said? There was a verb and there was a noun that's very important and that I want you to listen for when you're learning the outcomes from parents when you're doing tours like this. One was the feel of the community. Okay, so how important is it going to be that the children that leave my classroom score well on math standardized tests to this parent likely from the information that I got? Is that going to be as one of her top priorities? Is that going to be something I'm going to want to talk to her about right off the bat? Might it be something I want to talk to her husband about at parent-teacher conference or the child's father at parent-teacher conference? Maybe so, and I would want to find that out at that time. But then the noun was community. All right, so what she is looking for is a feeling, a situation that feels good to her, and community. So the reason that I wanted to kind of mock this up is so you would know where to go with this. Now, obviously, I would be spending, 20 minutes with her or whatever like that, but when I start the conversation that way, it lets me know where to go from there. Now, one of the places I would have gone is English language, and I would have said, because that wasn't one of the areas that she said her daughter was interested in right now, so I would want to find out, is this something that she is not interested in, and that's fine because she was like doing nothing but that 3 months ago and we're all good, or is that a concern that mom has? So these are the little things that we're going to pick out, but number one is her goals. Okay, I don't want to be talking to her about the language area or test scores or tuition or other things like that during that face-to-face time that we have if that's not the information she's given me. What she's told me is she already understands Montessori. She already understands that what her child is choosing is what's working for her. She's told me that practical life isn't that interesting to her right now. So unless she were to show some interest, now if we're looking around at the math area and she keeps glancing at some of my exercises of practical life, would we go over and say, are you familiar with this from your other classroom? Sure we would. But the whole point here is to find out what that person is looking for. Do not have a can spiel. Have bullet points about your Montessori advantages and your unique advantages. Now, one of the unique advantages that I made up, it's not unique, just to any one classroom, is having a person who speaks a second language. So that's something that I was able to say, yes, she's looking for this, and we're able to offer it. A school that I've worked with up in Park City has a very developed movement program, horseback riding and skiing. A lot of people come to them for that. What a surprise. So of course they would be spending time talking about that. But particularly if you have a Montessori savvy parent, you want to talk about the Montessori advantages. Is this making sense to you? Okay, so let me give you a couple of key phrases for this outcome elicitation process. One of those is, So why did you choose to come and look at our school? Or why are you considering this? Whether it be not having the child come to school next year and go to another school, why are you considering that? Or another one is, what are you hoping to get from that? Because a lot of people, why throws them into, you want me to use my logic brain and explain my processes to you? All right? But you say, what are you hoping to get out of that? What are you hoping to gain from that? And you're going to get a lot of information. This is going to be essential when we get down to our conflict piece, ladies. And gentlemen? No gentlemen today. Okay. This is going to be essential there because if you don't know what the other person you're talking to wants, you cannot resolve conflict in a way that works for everyone. Okay, it's absolutely impossible. So that is something that I would encourage you to do to practice staff circle-wise. If you're having staff meetings, do some outcome elicitations. Do some role-playing like I did with Brooke. Have someone be a prospective parent. Have someone be an angry parent. Have someone be the parent whose child got pink eye, okay? Whatever you have dealt with in your school, or if you've been in Montessori for a long time, whatever you've had come up, do that practicing so that you can find out what is that person looking for. So you've got why, what do you hope to gain, or what will that get for you? And then the third one is not something you say, it's your filters, all right? This is one of the things that I do a lot in parent education is talk to parents about their filters. Are any of you familiar with the Johari window? I don't know if I'm even pronouncing his name correctly. I'm not sure I've ever heard anyone pronounce it. All right, I'm going to borrow one of Teresa's insets since it's so right here. And this is something else I would encourage you to do. If you're doing parent education in your classroom, use your classroom. Let them actually play with the insets for parents that come early or things like that. We'll talk a little tiny bit about a silent journey a little bit later, but use it to make a point. All of us walk around like this. Actually, all of us walk around more like this, all right? And all I can see is what these filters are still letting me detect, all right? So maybe I'm a positive person. Maybe I'm a glass half full person. So what I'm going to see mostly is stuff that I like, stuff that is the things that are going to get me what I want in life. So that's kind of one of my first filters. Maybe this one is a low self-esteem filter. Maybe I feel like I'm not very smart, so I'm a little self-conscious about that. So I'm happy, but I'm a little low self-esteem, self-conscious about my intelligence. And I'm colorblind, okay? So I'm going to give you one that's very black and white. I literally cannot see red and green. This isn't true, but I'm giving you these. So this is how I walk around in the world. So what happens when I look at the number rods? They don't look the way they do to you. Okay? They look different. And actually, this is a fake filter. My real filter is astigmatism. Do any of the rest of you find that the rods jump when you look at them? Okay. This is an astigmatism situation. So these are real. The reason I gave you this colorblind filter, or let's make it my real one, my astigmatism filter, is because this is really how we walk around, all of us, even children. The 3-year-olds have less of them than we do, especially if they've been in a Montessori classroom. But the more you understand which of these filters are sitting in front of your own eyes and in front of your parents' eyes, the easier time you're going to have. In short, the whole problem of education is to give the child the necessary help, excluding any unnecessary help, so that the child may be helped to develop himself. This means that the adult must reorient himself in his understanding of the child and thus assist in the solution of a great problem. Self-activity thus becomes the basis of education. The last part of our program was filmed at the 2013 International Montessori Congress in Portland. The event was significant because it brought together all the large Montessori associations working together with Association Montessori International to unite the Montessori community. I'm here at the International Montessori Congress with Maren Schmidt, and I'm just going to give her a couple of minutes to tell you what she can do for you as a Montessori educator.
Thank you. As I've been introduced, what I can do for you as a Montessori educator is a lot. I have 2 newsletters I send out, one on a weekly basis called Kids Talk, that is geared towards parents. It's part of my syndicated newspaper column. I also send out a bi-weekly newsletter called Understanding Montessori that's also based on my newspaper column. You can go to marinschmidt.com and sign up for those to come free into your email box every time they come available. And they're great to share with your school families and your staff members. I also have written the book Understanding Montessori that lays it all out. It's a guide for parents, but a lot of teachers and staff members find that it's very valuable as a resource to help understand Montessori principles and put them into practice and have some of the language that you'd like to have for your school families. Just recently, I've developed from that Understanding Montessori book a 6-week online coaching program geared for new families that rolls out on a weekly basis. Each weekly session is 45 minutes long, and each of those 45-minute sessions is broken into segments that last 5 to 10 minutes, and parents can either watch them as a video, they can download them as an MP3 file, and they can download the transcript and read it. It's also on their own personal coaching page where they can ask me questions and I can answer back. I'll also be doing a monthly radio kind of talk show that anybody can tap in and listen to, but that'll be part of that coaching program where parents can call in, not call in, they'll have to type in their questions, or they can send them in earlier and I'll answer them live in a live session once a month. So that's what I can do for your families. I can really help them understand Montessori.
Marin, thank you so much. It sounds like you've adapted your program so it works for families in their communication style, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.